Hey everyone, Cozy Azeroth here, aka Zachary Fruling, and I am frankly a little under the weather today, so I am going to kill a little time with a total time waster of a game, Video Vegas, for the Texas Instruments TI-99 4A home computer. So bear with me because I'm a little under the weather, and this is, if memory serves, this is just a extremely basic slot machine game. Okay, let's get a little screenshot of that. Okay, any key to begin. $1, $2, or $3 bets. I have $100 right now. I like to go big or go home in Vegas, so let's bet $3 and see how far we get here. Hey, all right, got a winning right off the bat. 3 watermelons. Back when slot machines still dispensed coins, right? Something a little anachronistic. Actually, I must have won more than 20. Oh, because I bet 3, that's right. So it's 3 times 20. That's probably 160. I think. I'm not really sure how this game works. I forget. Okay, yeah, 160. Okay, that's cool. Spend $3 and 160. 3 times 20. Cool. Let's go. See how far we can let it ride. As you can see, there's absolutely no thought to this game whatsoever. You know, one thing it's missing, it'd be cool if, like, when you hit the space bar, if it would look like the handle would come down. That's a lot missed opportunity here, I think, from a game design standpoint. Just add a touch of realism to it. Grab a couple screenshots here. Boom. You know, I'm kind of proud of myself. I feel like just not too long ago, I would not have been able to program something even this complicated, and I'm working on this really cool retro game in Pico 8 now that's an order of magnitude more complicated than this. So I feel like I've genuinely learned something over the years. I'm still going to place $3 bets here, though. We're going to win. Might as well win big, right? What happens when you run out of money, I wonder? Like, game over? Start over? Put more imaginary money into the machine. This is like the perfect game to play while I'm under the weather. I actually have a fondness for slot machine games, even though they're really simple. I like the various approaches to designing them. See the kinds of things you can do with minimalist pixel art to make them look cool. Does the third one always stop last? It doesn't look like it. I think there's probably randomizes how long each one takes. Nice little touch, actually. You know, it's part of the art of game design, I think, is to make a game like this, but give it little touches of realism where possible. So let's see, last time the third one stopped last. Does that always happen? Nope. Let's see, this time the third one stopped first. I do love the TI system. It's so much fun. There was nothing quite like this system on the market at the time. Come on, big money, as they say on the big spin. Or on Wheel of Fortune, I guess, big money. All that's missing is a martini and a cigar. Oh, that was so close. So close. You know, when you program a slot machine, you have to come up with the rules for what combinations yield what. So there's a bit of variation in slot machine, early slot machine games on that. Giving back our winnings here. Walked away after the first good pull. $60. Peace out. I sort of think more like real slot machines and casinos should go retro like this. It'd be so much fun. Like with the totally pixelated retro aesthetic. Not just the fruit and the bars and things like that. Full on retro. I didn't have this cartridge originally, but I have encountered it over the years. I think it was done by the same people that did the Hen House game that I really liked, about which I streamed previously. Of course, I don't know how much patience I'm going to have for this very basic slot machine game. Maybe we'll just go until we run out of funds here. I guess next to the little denomination indicator in the top right, is that supposed to be a coin slot? It must be, right? A little blue coin slot. Back when you had to put real quarters in the slot machine, or tokens, I guess. Of course, one of the good combinations here. Yeah, there we go. No, that doesn't win. You see, that's lame that doesn't win. Get 3 of anything, you should win something. So that should pay out 24 since we're betting $3 at a time here. So it's not very sophisticated. There's only a basic multiplier. You think it would, give you a special bonus if you do a max bet. So yeah, I got a sore throat and a little earache, and so I got some antibiotics and still need to make some money. So I'm gonna go out and do some Uber driving tomorrow. So life goes on, sore throat or not. always time for some retro gaming. I wonder how they coded the probability for each possible combination. There's no way to tell just from what you're seeing on the screen here. Have a little melody that plays even when you win only a couple bucks. I didn't really notice. Do you have the different musical combinations for the different winnings? Let's see if we win something else. What the musical number we get. Here's 18 here. See if it's the same musical reward. Yeah, see, they should have different. That's another thing they could have done, maybe, is have different musical jingles for the different winnings. Just give it some variety, given how simple of a game this is. Although I do like that the different reels spin at different rates. That's a nice touch. What is that purple one supposed to be, like a plum? It's not an eggplant. It must be a plum. And what's the red one supposed to be? A tomato? It's not a cherry. What is that? I'm actually kind of confused now that I'm looking at this. It's not an apple. It must be a tomato. Let's go with that. We're still in the green. We started with 100. We're up to 130. There's only so many interesting things you can say about a slot machine game like this. But yeah, I guess you know, in terms of critique, it's like I might have been. I think the purple one's definitely a plum. Let's go with that. But big red ball, is it just a big red ball or is it a tomato? I might have added a little, you know, a little sprig of green on the top or something to indicate it's a tomato. Whatever it's supposed to be. But you know, I didn't program it, right? So who am I to critique someone else's game? I wonder who did program it. Someone knows. But they didn't plan on the fact that, you know, 40 some odd years later, someone will be sitting here streaming it on Twitch. And eventually on YouTube. It's kind of a fun thought. You create some random game, technology moves on, but it gets, you know, dug out of the grave in some digital archaeology standpoint and brought out of mothballs, so to speak, for all the world to see. Actually, it looks like my microphone level got hijacked. My volume's been a little soft. I'm sorry. Let me go try to fix it here real quick. System, sound, Yeah, sure enough, my input level got turned down. Okay, that should bump me back up to normal at least. Let's get back to the game. So, sorry if I sounded soft there for a little bit. I'm sorry if I sound way loud now. I just noticed that my input level got turned down. It's interesting. There are definitely 3 distinct clicks going on, and clicking sounds. This is a nice touch too. The clicking sounds simplify as each uh, wheel stops spinning. Nice touch. So yeah, there are some nice little touches in this game that aren't apparent at a glance until you play it for a while. Oh, $79. We're losing money now. Better win something soon. Alright, there's a few bucks anyway. You know, on the whole, I think I like the design of the graphics in the basic game graphics match a little better than this. One of these days I'm going to take the time and do a stream and type in the entire graphics match program in BASIC and spend some time playing with that. It would just be nice if there was something in the way of options besides $1, $2, or $3 bets. I guess, you know, in a way it's just as satisfying as going to a real casino, except you don't win any real money or lose any real money, so there's definitely a market. For the grandmothers that want to smoke at home, I guess. I'm curious what happens if and when we run out of money here. Might just be game over, you know, bankrupt, bust, you bust. Go back to the ATM. I guess they did have ATMs when this came out, but they weren't super common. Not as common as they are now. I'm not sure they had them in casinos either. Not really sure what casinos were like in the early 80s. I was too little to know. Yeah, it'd be nice if there were like multi-line slot machines and something like this. Might be fun to program a multi-line slot machine sometime. I'm curious what happens if you hit the space bar while the music is playing. Next time I'm going to try that. to test the edge cases. One thing I've learned about programming games, a lot of the programming involves edge cases. What about this weird scenario? What about this weird case? Oh, I said I was going to play it during the music, but I didn't. I'll do it next time. I forgot. I really hate being under the weather. I had a nice long weekend, but I spent a couple days of it under the weather. Which is not as fun as it could be. Well, we had a nice 4th of July get-together at my sister's house, and we had a nice graduation party for my girlfriend Susan's nephew in Sacramento. So, all in all, it was a nice weekend. Watched a couple movies today, and but you know, I hate to go too long without streaming. It's been a while since I've done a retro stream like this. Okay, so we're gonna hit the button during the music again. Okay, yeah, you gotta wait till the music's done. Nothing happens. But now we know. You know, when I first encountered this game, I had presumed that Video Vegas meant a variety of different casino games, not just slot machines. You know, I don't know why they didn't call it video slots. Although I think, you know, some other system had video slots or video slot machines. So they had to come up with something different. So Video Vegas. It's less descriptive, but sounds better. It rolls off the tongue a little better. Video Vegas. I wonder if we're going to hit a video jackpot 3 bars in a row while we're doing this stream. 1. Oh, so close. Come on, do it, do it, do it. No. It's tantalizing. $18. I was going to work on our video game today, but I just wasn't really feeling up to it. That's okay. Give me an extra couple days to percolate. We have to work on the character selection screen in our video game and the title screen, things like that. So the game's actually coming together pretty well. Some decent fraction of the way to being done. I would say it's more than half done. Even though the devil's in the detail when it comes to the character selection screen and the title screen, stuff like that. So the hard work is mostly done, I'd say. Because now we can add new game mechanics pretty easily into the main game loop, now that the main game loop exists. We have a couple of other mechanics down. Ugh, torture. Lost half our money so far. But, you know, as in real life, slot machines are designed to take your money. One-armed bandit is not on your side. I wonder if young people still call slot machines one-armed bandits. I mean, it was an anachronism when this video game came out, of course. It'd be cool to own a slot machine. I think in California you can own them as long as they're earlier than a certain amount of time, like they're collectibles. You can't use them for actual gambling, of course, but I think if they're prior to a certain year, you can own them as collectibles. Oh, we're down to 22 bucks here. Curious what happens when we run out, or if we run out. I wonder if it gives you a little boost if you're at, oh, there we go. So 3 times 18, so 54. Bumps us back up a little bit. I wonder if it's programmed to give you an extra boost if you get you know, low on winnings. Keep you in the game. Keep you pumping that money in. It's nice having the coin disappear into a yellow field. It solves the problem of how to make the coin, what to do with the coin after it spits it out. You know, just have it disappear into a field of the same color. It's actually a nice little, solves the problem of what to do with the coin after it's spit out. Nice touch. From a design standpoint, I think. Maybe not ideal, but solves the problem anyway. Now that I'm programming games, I can't help but think, you know, about the choices the designers had to make in order to bring a game like this to fruition. Even a simple game like this. It's filled with, you know, 100 little choices that have to be made. Ah, there we go. There's 30 more. Back in the game. It's back up to our original 100, I think. Didn't notice what we had there. I think at this point we've at least seen every combo except for the jackpot. So maybe we'll see it. I did notice that the game is not consistent about the order in which the graphics appear on any given reel, so those are being generated on the fly through pseudo-randomization, presumably. But there's no on a real slot machine, a physical slot machine, of course, the symbols all appear in a certain order on the wheels. I mean, there's a sense in which I'm already bored with the game, but I do want to see if I get a jackpot. I'm invested now. I could say we'll play until we hit a jackpot, but it might be playing all night, so I'm not gonna say something so committal. Although that would be a fun idea for a stream. Play until we hit the jackpot. Pry this slot machine from my cold, dead hands. Alright, 3 tomatoes again. I still think those are tomatoes. Not 100% certain. Not too bad. At least we're still in the game. It's funny, this is about the least deep stream I could probably do. Twitch. It's simplest possible slot machine game and simplest possible interaction. That sounds about right on a sick day. Excuse me. I think the bells are cute. You add 3 bells doesn't give you anything. I'm kind of enjoying making streams and YouTube videos about these games that either they were popular and are forgotten about, or worst case, weren't even popular, but they were part of video game history nonetheless. And a lot of these things are relegated to things like archive.org or the TI-99 4A user group on Atari Age, and who else but me is going to take the time to make a stream on Video Vegas on the TI-99 4A? Just me. That's what I do. A little digital archaeology. If you're curious how I'm playing this and streaming this, I'm using the Classic 99 emulator, of which I am a big fan. I don't think I have the most recent version of it. I've noticed that the most recent version of it lets you take a game in TI Basic and basically save it as an executable file, so it'll load the emulator and you can play the game just with a single file. So I'm anxious to give that a try to preserve some of these old TI Basic games. So Susan and I are going to the Vintage Computer Festival on August 2nd in Mountain View. And it's at the Computer History Museum, which is awesome in its own right. But there's quite a few cool exhibits, it seems, planned for the Vintage Computer Fair West. Nothing comes immediately to mind, but the list is pretty cool. And I'm really excited about the consignment area because there's various types of retro systems I've been wanting to acquire. I want to get a working Apple II, I want to get a working TRS-80, and I'd love to have like a vintage 286 or 386 DOS computer, or maybe Windows 3.1 computer. Somewhere in there. I know a lot of that stuff I can run in DOSBox, but there's nothing quite like running it on the original hardware. I've got a TI-99 4A in a box over there. But you might be able to see it if I get out of the way. It's way back in the corner there. I don't have a CRT TV to hook it up to right now, though. So it's still in the box. But we've been having these retro game nights at my sister's house every other week or so, and once I acquire a new CRT TV, then I can lug that over there and we can bang away on the TI-99 4A for retro gaming night, along with the Atari 2600. It's in a different box over there. No Jackpot yet. We're at $58 though. keep hoping that we're going to hit the triple bar jackpot. $37. Oh no. I want to see two things. What happens when we hit 0, and what happens when we hit a jackpot, if anything, other than the obvious winnings, but special sound effects, anything like that. But I suspect it's the same old sound effect. And so what's the prediction? When we hit 0, does it end the game? Or give us a chance to deposit some more money? It goes so fast. Is that every gambler ever? Alright, creeping up on the Hail Mary passes here. They're gonna be kind and keep us in the game. Last pull at $3. It's gonna, what happens? We don't have $3, but okay, it just switches it to 1 automatically. Okay, and that's cool. Last one, no winnings. Okay, here we go. What happens at 0? Oh, game over. Just doesn't even say anything. Just throws you right back into the title screen. Alright, any key to begin? Okay, back to 100. $3 bets. Let's go. The consequences seem pretty minimal, you know. Of course, now that we have in-app purchases for slot machine apps, you know, people deposit real money to play on fake video games. Quite the racket, huh? We've had one game over. Talking about little gambling casino hats, little visors. Like Data and Star Trek The Next Generation when they're playing poker. Also, it'd be cool to let you like choose the theme. That would have been another option. Like, one is fruits and the other one's, diamonds or whatever, jewels. That would have been a nice touch too. Oh, so close. I could taste it. The elusive triple bar. I always give you different machines with slightly different pay tables, something like that. Some sort of choice would be good. That's what this game is really missing. Like, so far this round is less successful than the last round. Not winning anywhere near as often. Which presumably is completely random. Never know how much the programmer stacked the deck, though. Got a peek into the code. Two out of 3 bars. So close. I want a jackpot. I feel like the graphics match game is a little more generous with the jackpots. Come on, 3 tomatoes. No. Ah, oh, so close. Can taste it. 2 bars. Okay, 30. There we go. 3 plums. Winnings of 10 with a multiplier of $3. So 30 smackaroos. I'm curious if any viewers out there have any favorite retro slot machine games besides this game. If so, leave it in the comments. Like, what's your favorite slot machine game? Alright, 3 watermelons, 60. Alright. 3 watermelons is 20 with a $3 multiplier. 60 bucks. It's hypnotic. Okay, 118 bucks. Let's go. Let's go. Make it happen. I will go so far as to say, if and when we get a jackpot, a triple bar, we'll call it a stream. It's enough vintage slot machines. We might not, but we might. If we do, I'll consider myself satisfied that I've tried everything in this game. And if I don't hit a jackpot this stream, I will come back and play this game again until I do another time. I still think it'd be cool if the, showed the handle being pulled down or something like that. That'd be cool. Well, hand maybe. Be very much in keeping with the spirit of this system. Oof, so close. Do you see that? So close, so close. Another way of customizing this would be to let you choose your initial bankroll, how much you walk in the door with, so to speak. $5,000. Or have a high limit slot machine, maybe. So little things like that go a long way to making a game customizable and replayable, in some sense of replayable. This game, of course, gets a little repetitive. One bar. Oh, so close. Nope. Too good to be true. One cherry, $6. Ah, another double bar. Tantalizingly close to a jackpot. Another single cherry, $6. All right, 2 tomatoes and a bar. I still think those are tomatoes. Should be 18. It would also be cool if it changed the odds slightly based on the amount that you bet. Bet more, slightly higher odds. That would be a cool way of adding a little pizzazz behind the scenes. Probably doesn't work that way, but it'd still be cool. I've been playing for almost an hour with no jackpot. Another. So we have bar, bell, and bar, which is 0 winnings. Another single cherry, $6. Double cherry, $15. 2 tomatoes in a bar. 6 with a multiplier of $3 is $18. Another single cherry. $2 times 3, $6. I hope if you're still watching at this point in the video, you're invested in whether or not I get a jackpot on this game. Ah, another double bar. Bar, fell, bar, which is nothing. So close. What did bar originally mean? Did it refer to like a bar of silver? I feel like I should know the answer to that. That's my guess, anyway. Maybe like a 1 ounce silver bar or that kind of thing. Alright, we got 3 watermelons. 20 with a multiplier of 3 is $60. Takes a minute to pay out, of course. If you're just tuning in, we're on the hunt for a jackpot, a triple bar. Playing $3 a pull, and a jackpot yields $50 times 3, or 150 virtual dollars. This is Video Vegas for the Texas Instruments TI-99 4A home computer, my favorite vintage computer system. I've only played this a little bit, not in a long, long time. Hey, Lady C and people joining. I'm a little under the weather. I have a little sore throat and a little earache, so I'm just doing a totally easy retro stream. Hey, how's it going? Hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Scubus, hello. Here to root me on. Going for a jackpot in Video Vegas, circa 1982. And I can't decide if these are like rubber balls or single cherries or tomatoes. So if you have any thought about whether those are tomatoes or something else, let me know. But I think they're tomatoes. That's my hypothesis. Woof. Hey, Corgi. Right back at you. Thanks for joining. I know this is a weird stream to join, but I was just in the mood for something totally retro and low-key while I'm a little under the weather, so. Rubies. Rubies? No, those aren't rubies. No way. Rubies aren't shaped like that, right? They'd be like more like cut gems if they were rubies. No. Like red rubber balls, maybe? I still think they're tomato. I mean, we have a fruit and vegetable theme here, right? So. Fruits, I guess, technically. So, tomatoes are fruit. We're on round 2. I played for half an hour, a little over half an hour, and lost my $100. And I've gotten every other combination but a jackpot in this game. So, I was just saying the only thing I think is missing is it'd be cool if the handle looked like it was being pulled, like my little hand was there pulling the handle when you hit the space bar. I love old retro games. I don't know if you guys do. I don't know how old you guys are, but you know, for me, I was a little kid when this game was around. How far we've come, and not too many decades. I bet the programmer of this game never thought that in 40-something years someone would be showing this game on Twitch and YouTube. How are you guys all tonight? Ah, so close to 3 tomatoes. This is about the most minimalist slot machine game you could come up with. Actually, it's not true. I think if you're familiar with this system, the graphics match game is simpler in its visual style, although a little more generous in terms of payouts, I think. This game is a little stingy with payouts. Oh, yeah, lurk away. Yeah. I appreciate you just tuning in. You know, I'm not sure I have much to offer tonight other than this wacky slot machine game, which was a genre unto itself back in the day. You know, back on these retro systems, you had to come up with games that were simple enough to have some appeal, and what's not appealing about a slot machine game? I love slot machine games. Ooh, so close! Look, I was tempted by that jackpot. It's tantalizing. I guess there's still a thing. There's still gambling apps and things like that, but you know, if you think of all the little choices a programmer had to make in terms of how to design this game, like what the graphics would be, what the payout table would be, you know, what the possible bets could be, what the probabilities are behind the scenes. There's a lot that goes into even a simple game like this. Now that I'm doing some game programming, I'm appreciating how sophisticated even simple-looking games can be. Of course, there's only a single line here, only one payout line on this machine. A lot of real machines have like a max bet with multiple payout lines. Alright, so that's one we haven't got too much. I have got this one before. 2 bells and a tomato for $8 with a $3 multiplier. So 24 big ones. I was commenting earlier on the fact that these coins just kind of disappear into a yellow background, which solves the problem of what to do with the coins when you spit out a coin. You know, it's simple, but it totally works. I hope you guys are invested in my jackpot here. I will stop short of saying that I'm going to play until I get a jackpot, but if I don't get a jackpot, I'm going to come back and do another stream of this game until I get a jackpot down the road. Basically, I was wondering what if something special happens when you get a jackpot, a different musical number, anything special besides just what we've already seen. I don't have access to the code for this game, so I don't know. I don't remember, honestly. Okay, we got 2 cherries, and that is $5 with a $3 multiplier, 15 bucks. I think it would have been cool if they had different little musical ditties for each combination. That would be nice. I'm Monday morning quarterbacking the game here. And I think the purple ones are plums, right? That's what they look like to me. Either plums or eggplants. To me, they look like plums, but feel free to form your own opinion about that. And you get totally robbed if you get 3 bells in a row. That doesn't pay anything. The one-armed bandit will rob you blind. Oh, okay, here we go. Bar, bell, bar, which pays 0. right, 3 tomatoes, 18 with a $3 multiplier. It's at 54 digital dollars. Now, you sort of think these games aren't very replayable, but you know that was part of the business model back in the day. If you had a game that you could play for hours and hours and hours and hours, you'd never go buy another game. They need you to buy more games. So they give you a game that's fun for half an hour, then you go, oh man, that was great. But what else do you got? And buy 10 cartridges instead of 2. So it's a feature, not a bug, so to speak. One watermelon. Nope. We've been doing these retro video game nights at my sister's house every other week or so, and I keep meaning to stream it, but we were trying to do it on original hardware, and I did buy a video capture device to try to capture the original hardware on my PC and stream it onto Twitch. And I got the video working, but for some reason I couldn't get the audio working, and it's a common problem with the video capture device that I got. Okay, so we got 3 plums, which is $10 with a $3 multiplier, 30 bucks. And so we're thinking if we're going to stream our Retro Nights, we're just going to have to do it with emulation like I'm doing here. But I love the original hardware. I do have a vintage TI-99 4A computer in a box back there on my shelf. I've got an Atari 2600 in a box back there on my shelf. I do not currently have a CRT TV to hook it up to, but I'm on the hunt for a decent condition Apple II computer and a decent condition TRS-80 and a decent condition like 286 or 386 DOS or Windows 3.1 machine. Those are my vintage computer wish lists. Susan and I are actually going to the Vintage Computer Fair West, VCF West, on August 2nd in Mountain View at the Computer History Museum, which is awesome. If anyone has a chance to go to the Computer History Museum in Mountain View, you should definitely go check it out. It's full of things you will not see anywhere else in the world. It's amazing. Okay, so we have bar, plum, bar, which yields nothing, but that's a cool combination, so we'll take a screenshot of that. Come on, big money, as they say on Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, I'm really excited about the VCF West convention. Some cool talks, some cool exhibits, consignment area, and hopefully I can find something cool that I can take home with me, big or small. At the very least, I hope to chat up the vendors about how to go about acquiring the kind of systems that I want. I'm not having much luck finding ones on eBay, and I'm sure there are better places to buy them. I just don't know. In a perfect world, I could find one hiding in a closet somewhere on Facebook Marketplace. I thought about trying to build my own retro computer. When I was a teenager, I had a 286 computer. It was a DOS machine, although I did have DOS shell installed, which was awesome. And some sort of like graphical menu system for loading programs. I don't remember exactly what it was. But I couldn't afford a computer at the time, and I was a new ham radio operator at the time, and some old guy from the ham radio club, in fact I remember his name was Warren Dunning. He was a nice guy. He said he could procure an old computer for me, and he did. He procured an old 286 machine and cleaned it up and reinstalled everything, installed DOS and some basic programs, a couple things that'd be useful for ham radio, and a word processor. And man, I used that computer. I mean, I wrote my first college papers on that computer, I think. I mean, that computer was already old in 1991. I think I used it into the mid-90s. So It's a great little computer. I'd love to have one like that someday. Again, or build it. But there's a lot of junk computers out there on eBay, so it's hard to find a good one. A lot of people just threw them out. Okay, the one-armed bandit is robbing us blind. Hey, Halionics, how you doing? Hello, hello. I was a little under the weather today, so I'm just doing some retro slot machine gaming. This, I'm okay. I'm a little sore throat and an earache, but I'm doing okay. I had some antibiotics and some pain medicine in me. I'm fine. But in the mood for something totally lightweight. Don't even feel like playing World of Warcraft, so I'm just going retro tonight. This is a program called Video Vegas for the Texas Instruments TI-99 4A home computer, which was the first computer I had when I was a little kid, circa early 80s. So we're just going retro tonight. Have to giggle. There's a boss called One Arm Bandit in Warcraft, and it's a slot machine that tries to murder you. I've heard about that. I haven't. Is that in the new area? The that goblin area, whatever it's called. I forget the name. I haven't even done it yet. The latest raid. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. Hey, Corgi. Oh, you already said hi above. Hello. I love that you guys are undermined. Thank you very much. That could be the pain meds talking. I didn't remember that. So appreciate you guys just crashing such a low-key stream like this. This is cool. This is just an excuse to hang out, of course. So Susan's watching some of her favorite TV shows out in the other room. We watched a couple movies earlier. Yeah, I like low-key streams too. And I hope you guys are totally invested in my getting a jackpot here, which I've not got yet. I've been doing this for about an hour and 20 minutes. I've got every other combination. But the only thing I don't know is what happens when you get a jackpot. Yes, stick it out until I get a jackpot. I don't think I'm not going to stream all night until I get a jackpot. But if I don't get a jackpot, I'm going to come back and stream this again until I get a jackpot. I'm a little disappointed that so far it's the same sound effect, same little musical jingle that plays no matter what the combination is. There's very little in the way of customization in this game. All you can do is choose $1, $2, or $3 bets, and all it is a simple multiplier. There's no other options in the game, and if you hit 0, it just loops you back to the title screen. It's about the most minimalist game loop you can imagine. So, yes, let's play it again and again and again. Big money, like in Wheel of Fortune. Yes, big money. I mean, there's some nice little touches in the game from a design standpoint, though. Like, if you notice, the 3 different wheels move at different rates and they stop at different times, but it changes from round to round to round. So that's a nice little touch. There are also the little clicking sounds for each wheel fade out one by one. The sounds get simpler as the wheels stop. So there is some nice little design candy in the game. Easy to overlook. I don't know who programmed this, but I think I saw that it was done by Funware, which did another favorite game of mine for the system, Hen House. Portal Fever. Now, oh, really? You're playing Portal? I've never played Portal. Seen it though, just never played it. Oh, see, so close. Bar, cherries, and bar, which yields nothing. Big fat goose egg. Okay, here we go. Now we're paid something at least. $2, $3 multiplier, $6. It's a thing you get in WoW after you time a +10 mythic dungeon. Ah. In WoW, I don't really do high-end content all that much. I mainly just like open world questing, and I'm doing some time walking dungeons, collecting some of the things. Um, Working on Master of the Turbulent Timeways right now. Got 3 out of 5 weeks done. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I gave up a long time ago on being a completionist. I mean, when I first started playing, I tried to do all the things 20 years ago, but at a certain point, they just started making content faster than I could do it because I got busy with life and career and relationships and whatnot, and I just kind of gave up on being a completionist. I still like collecting all the things, but I do it moderately at my own pace, and I'm just accepted the fact that there are going to be things in the game I will never do because I just will never get that far, no matter how much I enjoy collecting all the things. So, yeah, I take it at my own pace now. I don't feel any pressure about it like I used to. They're making content rapidly. Yeah, they really are. And I play that game so much, and I'm struggling to keep up with grad school and work. Oh man, I can say it's only a slight exaggeration to say that World of Warcraft is the reason that I didn't finish my dissertation when I was in grad school. Never got my PhD because I got a master's degree, and got through a lot of coursework for a PhD and got through some work on my dissertation. But then I got busy working in educational technology and content development, working for a little educational technology startup called Applia, which was owned by Cengage Learning, the higher education publishing company. And I worked there for 8 or 9 years. So again, it's a little bit of an exaggeration to say WoW is the reason I didn't finish my dissertation, but it certainly didn't help circa 20 years ago. Glad that Warcraft released my final semester of my bachelor's, else I wouldn't have finished that. Yeah, exactly. Too many alts to keep everybody perfectly caught up. Yeah, I have these different alts that I created with different people. So like with Susan, we've got a handful of alts, and I've got my alts that I created with my friend Julia, and I've got alts with other people, and so I kind of change alts depending on who I'm playing with now. Yeah, you got to stay focused on grad school because it comes and goes, right? You're not going to be in grad school forever. Get that done, then you can fiddle fart around playing Warcraft all you want, right? So, priorities. Although I feel like I kind of wasted my 20s to a large degree in grad school. I was in school pretty much continuously from kindergarten until I was 29 years old. So, do find the balance. Masters. Yeah. What are you working on? Yeah, I want to know. MBA project management. Yeah, most of the jobs I see out there in my field are project management jobs. Okay, 2 cherries. That's $5 with a $3 multiplier, $15. Yeah, I think that's safe, actually. There's a lot of project management jobs in all kinds of industries. Good choice. Just remember to, keep doing non-practical things, too. It's so easy for everyone to be practical and just focused on, how to pay the bills, but stay a human and do lots of other things, too. Hallie tanking that school aggro like a champ. Yeah, school aggro. Grad school is full of aggro, yes. You take a bunch of overachievers and put them all in the same academic department and expect them to function normally. It just doesn't work that way. Grad school can be a remarkably dysfunctional dog-eat-dog environment. I don't really miss it. I miss learning things in school. I always like school, but I don't miss the grad school environment, for sure. Okay, 2 cherries and a tomato. $15. It was a life goal, get a master's degree in something. Project management works for me because I do it on the side already. I agree. In fact, that's some of the best advice I got in grad school. I was working on, I went right from a bachelor's into a PhD program, and I hadn't planned to get a master's degree. And I'd been there a couple years, and the department chair pulled me aside after one of the classes and said, "Hey, been here a couple years. Are you going to get a master's degree while you're here? All you have to do, you have all the coursework done. All you have to do is write a master's thesis and defend it, and you get a master's degree." And I said, "Well, I hadn't planned to because I'm working on the doctorate." He said, "Trust me, just get it." And it's a darn good thing I did, because it did two things for me. One, it let me get that job in education publishing that paid a hell of a lot better, and it also lets me teach now. And I'm between teaching jobs right now, but I teach at the college level, and I can do that because I have a master's degree. And if I hadn't done that and I didn't finish my PhD, I would just have a bachelor's. So yeah, get the master's, because you've got it for life. And you never know what opportunities it's going to lead to. So really good choice. Even if you never go on and get a doctorate in something, get the master's. You won't regret it. No, exactly. You never know what kind of job you're going to get. I went from teaching at a little community college in California, scraping by, to getting paid like 4 times as much, making $100,000 a year, working in education publishing in my own field, and it's all because I had a master's and I was just the right person at the right time. So, walk through the doors that open and level up at every turn. Get the degree. Yeah, I was the right person for the job for sure, but it could have been someone else, and I lucked out to a large degree. It didn't last because companies suck, and they lay people off and change directions, and every new regime that takes hold of the company has to make their own mark, so they fuck with what's working well and lay people off. That's really disappointing, but I did squeeze several good years out of it. It gave me a little financial boost I wouldn't have had otherwise. I have more retirement savings than I would have had otherwise, for sure. So, even if it's not a ton in the grand scheme of things, I'm not starving. So, yeah, it would have been better to do that 30 years ago. Yeah. Try getting laid off of the same company twice. Yeah, sometimes I'm tempted to go back to the same company, but I really disagree with their take on education. I don't really care for the management, and I don't really care for their we just philosophically disagree about what real education is about. So I don't anticipate going back, but you never know, right? They still have philosophy products, and they may still want me to come back one day, but I'm not holding my breath. Hasn't happened yet. All right, 2 bells and a tomato. 24 smackaroos. But I actually recently, just a couple days ago, acquired a new iPad Pro right here in this box. I keep it in the box. I haven't put the case on it yet. And I am going to start creating educational videos on my own, which I've done a little bit for my own classes, and I've done a lot for my instructional design work. And I am going to start doing it personally for my own YouTube channel. And I've settled on the name. I'm curious what you guys think about the name. I've chosen the name Spark Gap Learning because I'm a ham radio operator, and I like the connotation of spark gap, which is the original kind of transmitter, just a spark between 2 poles, essentially. And it has good connotations for education as well. There's a gap in learning, and yeah, spark gap. Yeah, exactly. And the spark closes the gap, right? And so it's a cool graphic, cool logo. Probably, I haven't really decided, but I think I'm going to start by doing math videos because I'm good at math, and it's always good to do something you're good at. And I like math, and it's good to do something you love. But I want to do other things too. I still want to do more philosophy videos. I also have this pathological desire to teach Latin one day because I took Latin in college for 3 years, so I thought about doing some language videos. Of course, with a name like Spark Gap Learning, making electronics education videos might be good as well. But I think to start, I'm just going to start doing like low-level math videos, things I don't have to get up to speed on myself. Although I started out as a math major in college, and I did go all the way through calculus and into differential equations before I decided it wasn't for me. But there's so much I've forgotten and I would have to get up to speed on. So I'm going to have to start, back at, pre-algebra, algebra, or even lower level math, just to kind of do things I know I can do off the top of my head, and maybe even make a difference, because I'm not happy at all with the way math is being taught these days. It's really unfortunate what they've done to math education. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm kind of just throwing a dart. I want to get in the habit of making videos. And then it almost doesn't matter what your first video is, right? You make a video, and then you make another video, and then you make another video, and before you know it, you're doing something you never would have dreamed of when you started. You just start and see where it goes, right? Counting money. Yeah, I'm glad you guys like Spark Gap. It's a good name, isn't it? So yeah, starting in the next few days when I'm feeling a little better, I'm going to bust this iPad out and on my YouTube channel, I've got videos for logic. I teach in logic in college sometimes, and so I created a bunch of videos for teaching logic, and those are by far the most popular videos on my YouTube channel, even though it's kind of an esoteric topic. So more logic videos, more math videos, some electronics videos, maybe some programming videos. I'm doing more and more programming. Speaking of which, my retro game is coming along. I don't know if you guys have seen the retro game that I'm working on, but you can check it out on my YouTube channel. I have a friend who lives in, I don't know if you guys have tuned in while I've been streaming it, but we've been streaming the programming of it. But I've got a friend who lives in Ashland, Oregon, and he and I have been collaborating on a retro 8-bit style Dragon Ball Z themed fighting game. And of course, it's just a passion project. We can't sell a Dragon Ball Z game, of course, but it's a passion project, and it's coming along really well. We've got 2 characters flying around the screen, a couple of fight mechanics. We've got stats meters at the top of the screen. We've got punching. We've got Kai Blast working. There's some mechanics we haven't added in yet, but we've got the main game loop working. It's best 2 out of 3 rounds. We've got a loop that cycles between rounds and indicates how many rounds each player has won. We've got a game end loop, so the game ends when a player has won 2 rounds. We're going to create a character selection screen to let you choose between different characters to play and different colors of Kai Blasts, and which kind of, we're calling it a stage, but which kind of world is the background of your fight. So we've got some customization yet to do, but I would say it's like 60% done. We're coming along really well, and I'm amazed at how much fun it is to work on and how good I am at it, frankly. It's I've certainly picked some things up over the years, programming when I was a little kid and working with software engineers and educational technology and my own little programming projects. It's all coming together and letting me create something more complicated than I could have made even a small number of years ago. We're programming it in the Pico 8 platform, virtual console that uses Lua as the programming language. It's really coming together. Check it out on my YouTube channel, or there might be a video of it on Twitch. I don't know. I streamed it a few days ago when we were working on it last time, so you might be able to catch a video of it on Twitch. If not, go to my YouTube channel, Cozy Azeroth or Zachary Fruling, either one. I'm quite proud of it. It's coming together. Unlike this Jackpot, which is not coming together for me. Need to go to sleep because work tomorrow. Yeah, I know. I got to do some. Thank you very much. I have to do some Uber driving tomorrow, even though I don't feel spectacular. I need the money, so I'm going to suck it up, Buttercup, and get out in the morning and pound the pavement and do some Uber driving and make some ducats, as they say. But have a good evening, Palionics, and thanks for tuning in. Come back another time. So yeah, I got a lot of irons in the fire right now. I'm trying to see what sticks. My cross-stitch business, which is a weird little side business, is doing okay. It's kind of stagnated a little bit. Although I'm selling more print patterns than I had been. I started creating book-bound print editions of the cross-stitch patterns and putting them on Amazon. And I'm selling just a few a month. But, some authors don't sell a few books a month, right? So I'm doing better than some authors. And, I know it's a weird little business to be in, but of every way I've tried to make money on my own online, that by far has the most traction. So I am running with that as well. But it seems to have plateaued, even gone down a little bit. I just think there's a lot more competition out there now that people are using AI to create digital things, cross-stitch patterns included. And so I don't know if that's going to stick or not, but it's nice that it kind of runs in the background and makes a little bit of money on its own. Oh no, I think we're going to run out of money here in this round. And of course, if we hit 0, it's just going to send us back to the title screen. We'll just keep going here until Susan's done watching her show, or we hit a jackpot, or I just feel like I'm tired of doing that. Since I've been playing this game for an hour and 37 minutes now. But there's a part of me that wants to stay up all night until I get a jackpot. If I was feeling a little better, I might do that. You know, when I do go to casinos, which is very rare, I like playing the high-limit slot machines. I figure if I'm going to win, I want to win big, so I'll take, $100 or a couple $100 and go throw them in a high-limit machine, do a couple of pulls on that, and hope I win. And once in a while I've won. I mean, one time I took $10 and I turned it into 1,000 pretty quickly. And okay, peace out. Thanks for the $1,000. But the other thing I like to do at casinos is, yeah, see, we're going to run out of money here, and we're going to go back to the title screen and keep going. Yep, see. Back to the title screen. Funware, yeah. That was a great game company. This is a very simple game, but Funware has some really cool games they created. Okay, $3 bets. Off we go. I like playing blackjack a little bit too, and only for an hour or two, sit there and smoke a cigar and sip a martini and play some blackjack. That's a fun way to spend an hour or two at a casino. But I'm not much of a gambler otherwise. Although for a while I was learning to deal blackjack. I have a friend that runs an online card dealing school, and I was watching her videos and was thinking to myself, that sounds like a fun little side gig. I could go, deal blackjack on the weekends, even when I had my career, and never got around to doing it, but I was practicing for a while, and it's remarkably difficult. Real casino dealers make it look easy, but there's a lot of mechanics you have to do, both in terms of the shuffling patterns and in terms of cutting the checks properly and making it so mechanical and habitual that you don't have to think about the weird payouts. Like what happens if someone has $17 on the table and they get a 3-2 blackjack with some side game, and you've got to figure out the right payout on the fly really quickly. And there are mechanical ways of doing it that you don't have to think about it too much. And I was working on that and trying to make it habitual, and then I got busy with other things and kind of gave it up. But I still think it'd be a cool thing to do. Cool in some sense of cool, right? Like a weird side thing to do. My kind of weird side thing to do. I have a little bit of Charles Bukowski in me, I think. Like, what are the weird things I can do as a philosopher that make ends meet, that make good stories later? Like Jack London, being an oyster pirate and working at a cannery and all kinds of things that Jack London did. Makes for good material. Alright, 2 cherries times 3, $15. It'd be cool if you could choose your initial bankroll. Just start you out with $100, which is pretty standard, I guess. But this game could use a little bit of customization. That would jazz it up a bit. I appreciate the cheering squad, though. This is a lot more fun than sitting here being sick and not having any fun. We just get to shoot the shit and play some old games, see what's what in the world. I appreciate you guys. I'm on the road to trying to become affiliated. All I have to do is have an average of 3 viewers on 4 different days in the prior 30 days, and that's the only criterion left to become affiliated. I've met every other criterion, excuse me, and so I can make a few pennies while I'm playing Warcraft and retro games. But the older I get, the more I'm like Diogenes, the cynic. You know, I don't need as much as I used to need when I was younger. Need to pay the rent, need to pay a couple other bills, need to put a few pennies aside for retirement. But other than that, I don't need a lot of the things I used to need. Think I need. If you guys don't know the story of Diogenes, he lived on the streets in a giant wine jug, and he eschewed all material possessions. One anecdote about him is that he owned a single bowl for eating and drinking out of, and he saw a slave boy using his hands to drink out of a fountain or a well, and decided he didn't even need the bowl, so he got rid of his bowl. He said, "Oh my God, I've been so foolish, I don't even need the bowl." And he became so well known that Alexander the Great wanted to come see Diogenes to see what all the fuss was about. So it's a true story. Alexander the Great came to visit Diogenes on the streets. And he said to Diogenes, "Diogenes, it looks like you're down on your luck. You're living on the streets in a wine jug. You don't have any possessions. Is there something I can do for you to help you out, Diogenes?" And Diogenes looked at Alexander the Great and said, "Step out of my sunlight a little bit, would you?" Didn't even need anything from the emperor. And after that, Alexander the Great was quoted as saying, "If I hadn't been Alexander, I would have been Diogenes." Alexander admired that. True story. So the older I get, the less I need. That there was something. In fact, the modern minimalist movement is sometimes associated with Stoicism, but in reality, it should be more associated with cynicism. You know, the cynics were the one who eschewed all material possessions and didn't need the things that other people needed. You know, even Stoics could be a Roman emperor and drink some good wine once in a while. So yeah, Diogenes the Cynic. In fact, people called him a dog since he lived with the dogs on the street, and he liked it so much he started calling himself the dog. Would have been an interesting person to know. Woof, exactly, yes. Yeah, he self-identified as the dog. Okay, so 2 watermelons in a bar, that's $15 times 3, 45 bucks. Hey, we're doing pretty well. Started with 100, we got 100 and however many we're going to end up with here. Absolutely no skill whatsoever. Through no virtue of our own. Sheer willpower and group positivity. Power of positive thinking, as my grandfather might have said. See if we can at least double our bankroll here sometime during the game. I haven't hit $200 yet. But I've had to restart the game twice now, so in true slot machine fashion. Yeah, when I was younger, studying philosophy and starting to teach philosophy, I liked the more abstract parts of philosophy, and I still really do, but the older I get, the more I think that the practical areas of philosophy and these different schools of thought, like there's something to learn about from hedonism, and there's something to learn from cynicism, there's something to learn from Stoicism. Aristotle knew a lot about human nature, and you know, I think I'm a little more eclectic in my philosophical views, picking and choosing nuggets of wisdom that have some immediate practical value, even if theoretically they don't all, you know, these different schools of thought contradict each other and don't agree with each other. And I become okay with the contradictions in life more than I did when I was younger. I don't feel any need whatsoever to be consistent anymore. So. I kind of like weave in and out of Kierkegaard's different ways of being, you know, an aesthetic individual, pleasure-seeking individual, and a person who seeks action and novelty, or an ethical individual that's governed by duty, or an authentic individual. fully invested in something that's totally authentic. I kind of weave in and out of those modes of being, sometimes several times in the course of a day even. So life is not that simple. You can't just pigeonhole yourself into one way of being, I think. Like for example, tonight there's more important things I could be doing. Sitting here playing a fun old game with you fine people and having a perfectly nice evening. I mean, that counts for a lot at this age. Well, if I can't get a jackpot, I'll at least settle for doubling my initial $100 here. Ah, robbed. Look at that. In fact, I'm going to take a screenshot of that one. Robbed by the one-armed bandit. A plum, or whatever that is, or an eggplant, whatever that is, and 2 bars. Big fat goose egg. Maybe that's what that is. Maybe that's a big fat goose egg. Okay, 2 cherries, $15. $199 now, okay. Alright. I hear how the clickings change as the wheels stop one by one. It's a nice little touch. I try to admire the best of even these simple games. This game is lacking a lot. There's a lot of things I would do to jazz this game up if I were the game designer, but I try to admire the things that the designer did really well. It wasn't too many years ago when this was the height of technology, right? I can't wait for that Vintage Computer Fair convention in just under a month. It's going to be so much fun. I was always into computers, although there were periods in my life when I wasn't. But when I was a little kid, we had this system, the TI-99 4A. My dad also had an Epson QX10, which had CP/M as its operating system, which was kind of like a DOS precursor. I remember playing the Colossal Cave Adventure, text adventure game on that system, and of course all the cartridges and basic games on the TI-99 4A. When I went to kindergarten, they had a Tandy TRS-80, Radio Shack TRS-80 computer in the classroom. And I was the only person in kindergarten who already knew how to program in BASIC because I had this computer growing up and I used to write simple programs in BASIC. And then from first grade on, every classroom at my elementary school had Apple IIs in the classroom because in California at least, I don't know if any of you are in California, but in California, and if you're my age and about my age, Apple was getting a ginormous tax break from California for donating computers to the classroom in California. And so, a great many schools, not all schools, of course, but a great many schools in California had Apple IIs in the classroom in the early 80s. And yeah, some of my favorite educational games are on the Apple II, and I still revisit them from time to time and try to get some instructional design inspiration from them, because there's things that worked real well on those systems that even modern educational programs don't do as well as they used to do back on these old systems. So then flash forward a few years, I didn't have any computers. When I was in high school, I had a family member give me a 286 monochrome Toshiba, I think it was a Toshiba laptop computer, and I used that for writing some high school papers. And then when I was a teenager, I had was given a 286 computer from a guy in the Ham Radio Club who gave me it was a 286. I forget how many megahertz the processor was, but I think it had a 20 megabyte hard drive and had a CGA graphics card. So I love dinking around on old CGA computer game DOS games and using programs like what was it? PFS First Choice was the word processor and Office suite I used at that time. And then flash forward a few years, I didn't have any new computers, and I got a job working at Radio Shack in 1995, and I didn't really need a computer because I was still using either an electronic typewriter, electric typewriter, or that old 286 laptop to write my first college papers. And eventually I saved enough money to buy a discontinued IBM Aptiva Windows 95 computer that I quickly upgraded to Windows 98 when Windows 98 came out. And I think I got that first Windows computer that I had about 1997, I think it was. And then a year later, I put Windows 98 on it when Windows 98 came out. And the rest is history. And of course, I was up to speed on technology from there. But that's my computer history in a nutshell. But it all started with this system. I love this old system. I'm still enamored with the graphical style of this system. Everything from the color palette to the big chunky pixelated look. It was one of the more colorful computers at the time. Had a distinctive graphic style. Even if this slot machine game in particular leaves a little to be desired. But I'm glad you guys are as invested as I am in this potential, but so far non-existent jackpot. I did take a stab at programming my own slot machine game some time ago. It was basically a remake of a different slot machine game for this system called Graphics Match. And I created my own version of it in JavaScript and the P5. I think it's P5JS, I think is what it's called, JavaScript library. And made it for touch devices, so you just tap on the screen to start the next round. And other than that, it's like the most minimalist slot machine game you could come up with. But I'm proud that I made it work. It's one of the early game attempts that I programmed on modern systems. All right, 3 plums and/or eggplants and/or goose eggs for 10 times 3, $30. I think it would like spit out the coins a little faster to make it, a little more exciting. But no, it's just simple loops and loops and loops. I get the sense that this was cranked out pretty quickly, even though it's well done. There's nothing wrong with it. I see a lot of opportunities for making this game even better that I'm sure the programmer must have thought of, but just didn't have time to do or the resources to do. Or maybe the marching order was keep it simple, stupid. We don't want to complicate a game at all. We want simple, addicting slot machine game. Ah, so close to the jackpot. A tomato and 2 bars. Nothing. Nada. Zip zilch 0. I'll be beside myself if I actually get a jackpot here. So yeah, tomorrow I'm doing some Uber driving, which is what I'm doing to pay the bills right now, and I really enjoy it. It's fun to talk to people all day. It's kind of like streaming in a way. Alright, 3 more plums. Cool. But it's a bit of a grind. You know, a lot of the work I've done in my life and career has been mentally intensive work, and Uber driving is just a different kind of intense. You know, it's you got to pay attention to the road, you know, pretty much the whole time, and it takes its toll in a way that other mental work doesn't. Watermelon and 2 bars, nothing. It's close to a jackpot, though. I can smell it. We're getting close. Does anyone know what bar refers to in slot machines? My hypothesis is that it refers to silver bars, like, you know, an ounce of silver, like a little 1 ounce silver bar, maybe. Is that what bar refers to? Or something altogether different? I could look it up, of course. I just wondered if anyone knows. And I was curious because I never bothered to look it up. Oh, here we go. Oh, so close. Look at that. I'm gonna take a screenshot. It's so close. If I don't get it, this was painfully close. I'm invested now. Oh, look at that. Bars everywhere. Okay, 2 bells and a tomato. 8 times 3, $24. I like the nice touch of the little white reflections on the bell and the tomato and the cherries. It's a little weird on the watermelon, I guess. I don't think the watermelon was very reflective. One result. What did you find? Over time, the symbol has evolved along with the slot games. It's now just another symbol typical of classic slot games. It did have a special meaning at one point. In the early 20th century, many parts of the United States enacted laws that banned slot machines paying out currency. To keep their businesses alive with those changes, slot manufacturers changed slot games to pay out candy instead of cash. One common prize was a rectangular bar of chewing gum. Interesting. I never would have guessed that bar would refer to a bar of chewing gum. Candy bar, maybe, but chewing gum? Interesting. So 3 candy bars, or excuse me, 3 sticks of chewing gum is the jackpot. Got it. Counterintuitively. I got it totally wrong. I would have guessed it was a silver bullion bar. Totally wrong. Don't trust me. Can't trust anything this philosopher says. Oh, look at that. Another close one. Another screenshot of that. Too close. Bar, watermelon, bar. Chewing gum, watermelon, chewing gum. I feel like we're getting close. I can smell it. Bar, cherry, bar. 0. They're teasing us now. It's tantalizing. I do like the design of slot machines. It's one of the things I like about slot machines. It's just all the different visual approaches to them. You know, it's a game in broad brushstrokes with endless possibilities and endless combinations you can come up with. So hence, it's fun for designers, I'm sure. Must be a whole industry and art to designing slot machines for the real world. Bell, bar, nothing. I do like the bell symbol on this one. The watermelon, I think, is a little something to be desired. It's a watermelon-like, but the bell symbol works pretty well. Cherries look good, too, on this one. This big red ball that is probably a tomato, I'm not sure about. Like whatever that is could be a little clearer. It's not an apple, right? I don't think it's an apple. Even when I go play slot machines in the casino, again, rarely, I gravitate toward the older style. Even if the insides are modern, of course, but the old style slot machines that have mechanical wheels as opposed rollers, wheels, whatever they're called, barrels, instead of the purely electronic ones. But right now, I'm the very picture of one of the prisoners inside Plato's Allegory of the Cave, just staring at illusions upon illusions on a digital wall here. How far this philosopher has fallen. Or descended into the cave of mere illusions. It'll all be worth it when we hit the jackpot. Well, I'm getting less and less optimistic that we're actually going to hit the jackpot tonight. I'm not going to be up all night. I got to get up tomorrow. Be a little under the weather or not, I got to make some money. So bills don't pay themselves. This is not the year I planned to be having that. I was teaching at remotely at a college and out of state, and they decided they don't want out of state instructors anymore. So I was let go at the last minute, right as the semester was starting back in January. And oh man, look at that, just on the wrong line. Lame-o. So I had to kind of scramble to figure out what to do, and thankfully I just set my car up to do Uber driving again, so I was able to immediately switch to doing some Uber driving, which is great. It's fine. I love it. I really enjoy it, actually. But I was a little disappointed that the college backpedaled on having out-of-state instructors after I'd been doing it remotely for a couple of years. It's the 21st century. There's no excuse for that. I mean, if we can sit here and shoot the shit and play retro video games and chit-chat remotely like we're doing now, I certainly can teach philosophy remotely. Total lack of imagination on the parts of college administrators, but that in itself is nothing new in my experience. So chewing gum, huh? That's fascinating. A bar of chewing gum. So close. Bar, cherries, bar. Alright, so let's see, we've started this game 3 times, which means we've basically had $300 to play with here, and we're down to 46. So we're losing in true slot machine fashion. Although I've had pretty good luck at slot machines, you know, purely by luck, of course, but, you know, I've had some occasional wins where I've, you know, taken $10 and turned it into 1,000, or taken, you know, $20 and turned it into a few hundred. I have enough discipline to immediately walk away and go, peace out, thank you. There's a casino nearby where I live, the Thunder Valley Casino in Lincoln, and I often drive people there and drop them off and pick them up doing Uber driving, and wish them luck from Lady Luck, so to speak. I don't often go there myself, although my sister is a teacher. She goes there to, there's a great little cafe there, and she goes there to do her grading a lot of the time. Just to hang out and get away. I love the sights and sounds of casinos, at the very least. It's a fun, colorful place to sit and hang. The only thing missing is a piano lounge and a Berlin ballad, so to speak. I wonder what the probabilities are. Like, you can't really tell from what's happening on the screen what the probabilities are of getting 3 bars. Whether it's constant or whether something changes behind the scenes, changes the conditions at some point. I'd be curious to know what the rules are behind the scenes, the logic that drives this game. Oh. There we go. Let's go. $3. If I end up getting it, you guys will be glad you stuck it out. Free digital drinks for everyone. If anyone's interested in trying out this system, when I recommend you do, it's so much fun. The emulator that I'm using is called Classic 99, and if you just Google Classic 99 emulator, you will find it. And it comes with some cartridges, you know, as part of the emulator package, but you can download ROMs. There's a TI-99 4A users group on the Atari Age website, so just Google TI-99 4A forum and you'll find it. And if you browse around there, you'll find some links to download ROMs that can be used with this emulator. Highly recommend you check it out. It's an awesome retro system. I don't know if any of you guys are old enough to remember the system, but if you're not, you missed a fun part of computer history. You should check it out sometime. 2 tomatoes in a bar, $18. Okay, two cherries in a bar. That's 15. Hey, my love. I'm just playing a vintage slot machine game. I got 5 people rooting for a jackpot with me on Twitch here. We're invested now.
Okay.
How was your show? Shows.
It was good.
I figured this is about the speed I should be doing when I'm a little under the weather, so
I agree, my love.
Thinking around here. We've had every other combination but the jackpot, so we're invested now.
So I need to put my Twitch notifications on because I only get an email.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, then I want to always put it on for you.
Earlier today, Susan and I watched 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
Which I have not seen. Actually, I'm not sure. I had seen it once when I was
in the background, though.
Yeah, I didn't remember much about it, but I remembered some about it.
Yeah.
And then we watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, which you had not seen.
I had not.
Which you were probably still perplexed by.
I'm completely confused.
The sequel, 2010, explains some things, and the books explain more. But it's open to interpretation, for sure. That's part of the fun of it.
That's not my strong suit, though.
Interpretation is not your strong suit.
No.
Well,
when I go watch a movie, I want them to tell me what the story is, what the problem is, who the characters are, who the bad person is, and what the conclusion is.
And you don't get any of that in 2001. Like none of the things you just
isn't Hal the bad guy? He killed everybody. Except for Dave.
Yeah, in the sequel you learn why he does that.
Well, he's a computer.
Yeah.
That
for sure.
becomes like what they call it, sentient or whatever.
I think the idea is that he's a sentient computer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he did say that his feelings were hurt when he saw Dave and Frank, like they thought they thought they turned off the microphones, and he's like, "Oh, I read your lips," and then that's when you saw Dave go, "Oh, fuck!" Like he knew.
Yeah, busted. You find out a bit more about what Hal's reasoning was in the sequel.
Well, because why was the Jupiter? Because that's where he said that he couldn't risk the Jupiter expedition going badly. So why was it so important to him that Jupiter went?
Well, that was his fundamental.
That's what he was programmed.
That was his mission, was to make sure that the mission goes well.
Oh,
he thought the humans were going to interfere with the mission, so
even the ones who were asleep, who had there was no threat to them. Like, they caused no threat, and he killed all of them when they were hibernating. That was like... But I guess if he was programmed that way, he's not the bad guy. Because he was programmed that way.
You be the judge.
No, and that's the thing. Like,
well, it's funny. I find that actually the least interesting part of the movie. I like all the weird stuff about these aliens and what Dave Bowen turns into and the space baby and the metaphor for humankind.
It's a big black marble slab. It was like, what's so crazy scary about that?
That's not scary. There's nothing scary. I don't think there's anything scary about it. Why did you think it was supposed to be scary?
Yeah, people would seem like, oh my god, what is this weird thing?
I mean, the monkeys thought it was scary, or the apes,
they thought it was scary.
Human ancestors.
Even when, like, when they went and found it on the moon, and they had to say there's an epidemic. That's scarier than a marble slab. What are we talking about?
I mean, the idea that it was, again, it's just a fun idea that, this ancient race of aliens, whoever they were, through the monolith in some way that's totally never explained. It provides the spark of intelligence for human evolution. That's a fascinating idea. Idea alone is worth the movie.
So the marble slab is what sparked evolution in the apes in the beginning, and that's where they started having some kind of a like, I don't know, evolutionary thought of becoming smarter. So that is what
learning to use tools,
sparked
the bone. You know.
But that was before they saw the marble slab.
No, they learned they only used the bones after they saw the monolith.
Oh, they. Oh.
The monolith taught them to use the bones.
So that's what sparked.
Yeah, but they never explain how that worked. It's just the implication is that the monolith is responsible for them becoming intelligent enough to use tools.
Oh, okay. I see. I guess I didn't put that together. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's what's...
Yeah, and they amplified their violent tendencies, which we still have to this very day. Look at the Trump era we're in, right? We're just space monkeys all over again, you know.
But they already knew about violence, though. I mean, they had that whole scene of where that tiger.
Mm-hmm. It might have been a leopard, maybe.
Leopard attacked the monkey, and you know. So I mean, they obviously knew about violence, but not with each other.
Well, they were fighting with each other for resources, but the smart ones gained the advantage. Is the idea?
Oh.
Smart ones got the watering hole.
So only half of them saw that marble?
I think that's the idea, because if you after the one ape learns to use the
they started like walking upright more than the other.
Yeah, but they went down to the watering hole and started picking a fight with the
yes, okay.
But only the one group had tools.
Yeah, and then I did notice the ones with the tools started walking upright more than the other ones. Like they were walking more on all and the other ones were more upright.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
But you know, to some extent, you know the tendency to violence was, of course, already there. Every species has.
Well, let's start with Cain and Abel too. Oh no, I guess that's biblical, not like evolution.
Yeah, I think in terms of real history, you know, every mammal has some violent tendencies, but you know, our use of tools has arguably amplified them. Look, we invented nuclear weapons to wipe out millions of people at a time, right?
Yeah.
You know, nothing new there. Of course, this was, you know, just over, you know, 20 years after the end of World War II, you know?
Yeah.
So it was right in the middle of the Cold War, of all things. So, you know, humans' ability to damage each other was front and center in everyone's mind in the 60s.
Yeah.
But that's the implication, I think, is that the monolith, in some way, we'd understand, is a machine.
To spark evolution.
Yeah, and so these aliens go out and plant seeds of intelligence around the universe in some way. And the books go into this in a little more detail. Not a whole lot more, but a little bit more. And then
you were saying, though, it's that same monolith, though, that was started on Earth.
Well, I think the idea, in the books explicitly say that there's different monoliths. There was the one on Earth, there's a different one on the moon, and yet a different one in Jupiter orbit. The three different monoliths are not the same monolith.
Well, because when you were talking about it, it made it like I thought you said like the apes moved it.
No. I think the implication is that, well, the movie's not clear at all. Either the same monolith that somehow got to the moon and was buried by the aliens.
So why wasn't that one ever discovered? The one.
Well, in the books they actually say that the one on Earth was actually buried as well and discovered eventually as well.
Okay.
So the books actually.
But nobody. But they lied about the one on the moon. They said it was They didn't say what it was on the moon. They said it was not a epidemic.
Well, that was just a cover story.
Right, but no one knew that it was that. But why didn't they ever talk about the one that it was never discovered in that? Yes,
and according to the books, at least, the one on Earth was not discovered by the time the one on the moon was discovered.
Got it. God.
But what I like about the movie is, of course, the end of the movie, and that, to me at least, the end of the movie the fundamental idea is that humanity, we think we're the pinnacle of evolution because we've come so far, but really we're just space babies, and we have a long way to go in our future evolution.
Because of how that we saw like Dave get there, and then he kind of saw himself eating,
mm-hmm.
and then but he heard it, and then
mm-hmm.
but then we see him dying, and then we see a newborn. So it's like a rebirth of thought or something.
Yeah, and the sequel goes into this in some detail. I don't want to ruin the sequel, so I don't want to say too much about it. But something does happen to Dave Bowman for sure. But why do they show it in terms of him seeing himself? I don't know. It's a good question. Like, because because of the
wormhole. Like he like.
It's not
went
clear.
Into like another dimension, like each time or something.
It's not clear at all, but I think.
But you said we can interpret it. That's the way I interpret it.
Yeah, but I'm saying the answer is not there. But I think
there is no.
What I get out of it is that because
that's why you like it, because you're a philosopher.
I do like it. It's a deeply philosophical movie.
Because there are no answers.
Because it's a broadly existentialist movie. Given its relationship to Nietzsche, I would say that another quasi-existential philosopher is Heidegger, and Heidegger thinks we're always defining ourselves by looking forward and looking backward. We look backward and feel constrained by our past, and we look forward and feel constrained by our eventual mortality, and we're constrained by the things we can and can't do in the future, and we're constantly looking backward and looking forward and looking backward and looking forward. And this is an interesting way of showing the human paradox of moving through time, looking forward, looking backward, looking forward, looking backward. Because Dave Bowman looks forward, sees his old self. The old self looks back at him, and then before you know it, he is the old self. And he did that a couple of iterations.
And then now there's a baby in a womb, or a fetus.
Which of course I think is a metaphor for humanity as a whole, but not Dave Bowman in particular. But although something weird does happen to Dave Bowman, so I'm not going to tell you what. So
is that? So the fetus in the womb looking over this whole thing is the fact that we are still learning what is out there, or we don't know, or we have to be born into it,
or just we are the space babies. We're technologically advanced. We're spacefaring creatures now, but we have a long way to go. We're still in our infancy in terms of our maturity as a species. That's how I read it anyway.
Okay.
I'm sure there's other interpretations. Earth is the womb. No, that's not true, is it? Is that true in the film? The Earth is the womb? Because there's the baby in what looks like a womb next to the Earth, and we see them together in the same shot, right? So I never read Earth as being the womb. Is that true? That could be. I mean, I don't know. It's round. Like the Earth is round. The womb is explicitly a big round, it's...
A womb is not round, exactly. But it's like... It shapes to the baby. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Corgi says, I don't speak Kubrick, but it's a pretty common trope. I can see that. I mean... Space baby was in an amniotic sac, not a womb. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That is true, not a womb. It was in... Yeah, exactly. So that is very true. And the amniotic sac is... It's not a circle. It like moves. Take this from... I've had 2 babies.
And let's tell you all about how it works, right? Yeah. Let's mansplain how
my womb and uterus works.
Exactly. Yeah. What else is there? I mean, one of Nietzsche's concepts that he himself didn't dwell on quite as much as his works that were published posthumously, and his sister edited a bit, but the will to power is a fundamental concept of Nietzsche's, that everything that humans do is driven by a proto-Freudian subconscious will to power.
So I guess Dave had that where he fashioned his way to get out of the thing when Hal wouldn't let him in. Right? It was his will to power through, and Because he was like holding his breath when he like blasted through, right?
Sure. I mean, I never thought of that as a metaphor of that either, but that's a great example of it.
Yeah, I can see that because.
And of course, the apes are an obvious will to power, and
because of how they fought against each other when they.
And of course, it's in the middle of the Cold War, and so we have the Americans and the Russians, sparring in dialogue form in the beginning of the movie.
So who were the Americans? Who were the Russians in the apes versus?
Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, I mean, that's a good question. I don't really know. I mean, everyone thinks the enemy is or the more warlike people, right?
Yeah, so. Exactly.
But the association between tool use and intelligence isn't so it's not. I don't think that's obvious at all. But I think insofar as Nietzsche's the will to power is a Nietzschean concept, the film is broadly Nietzschean in its conception. And of course, a great many people today still think humans came from Adam and Eve, and all the crazy religious people, right?
See, I don't believe that. I'm more of the evolution.
Does, right. No intelligent person believes that. but
that's a good story.
But that had to be learned at a certain point. Darwin happened in the early to mid 1800s, and Nietzsche was a huge fan of Darwin, and Nietzsche's works are dripping with evolutionary thought.
Yeah.
He was always telling this subconscious evolutionary story about all these lofty concepts that we have and their evolutionary history and their origins and things that are less than ideal from a virtue standpoint. So, so the film is broadly evolutionary, and so it's Darwinian.
You can tell.
Yeah, exactly.
You can definitely tell, which I get that. I mean, I don't mind hearing the stories of Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel.
No, I'm a big fan of stories.
It's all fun. But I'm like more
so close.
Oh.
Drat. But what? Sorry?
No, but I do, I'm more of, the, Darwin, evolution, like that.
Well, I mean, the evidence for evolution is overwhelming.
Right.
And people who don't agree with it, it's tantamount to just turning a blind eye at all the evidence for it, that's so. Oh. Yes, it's a mistake to think we'd understand exactly how it worked, and it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an open question whether it's teleological. Does evolution necessarily produce intelligent beings like us given enough time, or are we a complete and total evolutionary accident? That's a totally open question because we only have one data point: our planet and our species.
Well, and my thing is too. It's like, okay, if how evolution works, and basically we came from apes, and that why are there still monkeys, and why didn't they?
Is that a real question?
Because
we share common ancestors that branched into two different evolutionary paths.
But why didn't it stop? Why were there still monkeys that didn't evolve? Right?
Or they just evolved to fill a different niche. They didn't need to develop the intelligence we did to survive,
Okay. See, I guess I'm because that is where I'm oh, it's not an all or nothing thing.
Presumably our intelligence and our ability to modify our own environment
kind of broke off, and then survival of the fittest.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly it conveyed an evolutionary advantage.
There were some that were you just got something.
Oh yeah, 3. I can't tell if these are plums or eggplants or something else. I think they're plums.
Olives.
Olives? Do you think those are olives? Could be olives.
Say olives.
Olives. I hadn't thought about olives. So now we've got plums or eggplants or olives. You be the judge. And I think these are tomatoes, but I don't know. These are cherries, clearly. What is this? I've been calling it a tomato. It's a peach?
I say a peach.
Even though it's red?
It's
not an apple. It doesn't look like an apple. It's not shaped like an apple.
No, I say more of a peach.
It's a peach, okay. But it's shiny.
Nectarine.
What is that? That's a serious question. Why are there still apes?
Well, why are you making me feel stupid?
I'm not. I'm just trying to. I wasn't sure. I genuinely wasn't sure if you were joking or serious.
Well, because if we all came, don't know. To me,
It's
it would be like an all or nothing thing. Like, but
well, let me ask you this: why are there so many bird species? Some are good at some things, some are good at other things.
right, but they're all in the same category of being like avian, whatever.
And we're all apes.
We are apes.
Yes.
So our apes are also Homo sapiens, like us.
Well, no, Homo sapiens is a specific species, but we're broadly in the very broad brushstroke ape category.
Well, see, I didn't realize that.
We just happen to have evolved intelligence more than other apes, and other apes good at other things and filled their own little niches and they didn't have the evolutionary
So and now
pressure.
that evolution is now we're broken off.
Yeah, basically distant cousins.
Got it. Okay.
Very, very distant cousins of all the apes.
Okay.
Chimpanzees being the closest ones.
Okay.
We have 98% of our DNA in common with chimpanzees.
Okay. Well, there you go.
They're just different branches of the same family tree.
Okay.
The current debate seems to be how Denisovians fit into Neanderthals. Yeah, it is. Of course, it's more complicated, of course, because there are these weird overlaps. So, like, Neanderthals crossbreeding with other, branches of humans. And what's interesting to me is I've read an article about this, and it seems there's some research seems to show that mathematical and logical and abstract reasoning abilities correlates strongly, not just strongly, but very strongly with the percentage of Neanderthal DNA that an individual has. Which is interesting. And actually, even like a gut check of that totally works. Like Julia, for example, has higher Neanderthal percentage DNA than I have. And I've got a pretty high amount. And like, I can kind of, the people I know, that have their access to their DNA through 23andMe, it totally tracks. Like the more logical, abstract folks have higher Neanderthal DNA percentage, and the people that aren't as I wouldn't categorize as being the most mathematical, logical folks have a lower percentage of Neanderthal DNA. And it seems it passes the gut check, but apparently people that have researched this say it correlates very strongly. It's not just it's not just an accidental correlation. It's a strong correlation.
And I have no idea what that is for me.
Well, you haven't done it, right?
I have not.
Oh, we should do it. We should just buy a kit and do it. It'd be fun.
I had a kit, and I did open it, and then I realized, I'm like, oh, I have to spit all that into a tube, and it made me gag, so I couldn't do it.
Well.
And then Brady destroyed it. So.
Do you want to give it another try or no?
I would like to give it a try. I wish I could just do a blood sample.
You should have your mom do it too, because
my mom and my siblings have
on 23andMe. Oh, okay, that's good, because if one of your parents has done it, then they can. Anyone you're related to, they know which side of your family it's from. Which is
my
awesome.
mom and all of my siblings have done it. I don't know about my bio dad though.
Well, it doesn't really matter as long as one parent has done it. Then they know they can tell which side of your family you're related on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my mom's done it. Well, then I guess I just have to get over my gag reflex and just, I don't know, just.
I'll help with that.
Well, I've almost.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
I've never, well, maybe once gagged.
Oh, good times. Good times.
That was good, my love.
What your soul made for, help with the important things in life.
Love of my life, my soulmate.
At least we got jokes.
We do. Yeah.
Well, I don't think I'm hitting a jackpot. I'm not going to play this all night, but I'm kind of casually hitting this button here while we're chit chatting. But
Well, no, you, like going through it. So, okay, I actually was not. No, yes, the movie was way too long for what they showed us. It literally
Yeah, it's an
could have been
experience. It's not,
like from the like. How long were we into the movie before we heard somebody speak? Like at
Probably
least 20
15,
minutes.
20 minutes probably before
So-
anyone speaks in the movie. Yeah.
And like I think for everything, the movie could have been like a 45-minute movie. It was 2.5 hours, and I'm like, move it along. Like, come on.
See, I guess that the length doesn't bother me. What bothers me a little bit is the length of the wormhole scene. It just goes on and on.
And then the eyes, the eyeball, like the changing.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay.
I'm not sure why that's in there. I mean, it's a cool idea, of course, but
And maybe it was like seeing the wormhole through his eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and that could possibly be what was going.
Mm-hmm.
But well, we watched Deep Space Nine. We see the wormhole. It doesn't take that long. Like,
yep.
But
then there's Kubrick versus anybody else. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's true.
It's his movie.
That is true. No, and I'm not saying anything bad about him. Like I know he had like kind of, I loved the way that, it's very just the stark background and then the bright colors here and there, and then I know he was a visionary, and he because didn't he also do he did The Shining too, right? Didn't Kubrick do Shining?
I think so.
And
I never saw that. So
oh, Shining. Oh, you never.
You're gonna make me watch The Shining.
Yes, I'm gonna make you watch The Shining now.
Lord.
Because you can kind of tell too in The Shining, because but that is something like for me, like you love 2001: A Space Odyssey, and a lot. It's so long. A lot happens, but then nothing happens. Same thing with The Shining. Like it's that way too, but it's like spooky and beautiful, and just things happening, and like somebody like in their own head, which and amazing. So and this creepy here and there. Like, hello, Mrs. Torrance.
Eyes Wide Shut, I think. I'm a massive Kubrick fan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot Eyes Wide Shut was Stanley. I made the mistake of... I had no idea. I went to the theater and saw that with my mom when I was a teenager. And I'm sitting here... My love, have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, now we have to watch that.
Oh. Really?
It's with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
I know. No, we can watch it if you want.
No, we have to.
Look!
Ah!
We did it! Our tenacity paid off. We're going to get a screenshot of this while we can.
You have to, yes!
Woohoo! See? Power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
My Nietzschean will to power has paid off.
It's amazing, my love. Okay, but no, he's Eyes Wide Shut. Like,
We can watch it sometime, yeah.
Might get you a little...
What's that? Noted.
But, like I was saying, I went and saw it with my mom in the theater, and things were happening, and I'm sitting next to my mom in a movie theater, being like 19 or 20, and I'm sitting here going, oh my god. I don't think my mom and I have ever talked about that.
Corgi says, now you know you just have to discuss Kubrick to win. Correlation is not necessarily causation, but
there you go.
it was a good omen.
Good omen.
Woo!
Woo!
It only took 2 hours and 40 minutes. And we're still behind because I had to restart the game twice because I ran out of money. So let's see what we end up with here and see if we in the green or in the red here. We're going to be in the red. We get 150 for betting $3 at a time and getting paid 50 times that. So All right.
Okay.
I feel totally vindicated.
There you go.
Yeah, we have to watch the sequel, 2010.
Yes.
Although the books are better than the, especially in terms of the sequel. 2010 is a better book than it's a movie. But.
Well, maybe that could be something we could read together.
That'd be fun. Yeah. Arthur C. Clarke's a great writer.
I wouldn't mind that.
Mm-hmm. Although I like his Rendezvous with Rama series a lot better than the 2001 series.
Well, we could read it all together.
But the 2001 books are great.
Well, let's do it all.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
We need to finish our dialogue, which we're on the last one.
Corgi says, 2010, Lithgow, real Russians. Excellent opticals. Yeah, it is a beautiful movie for sure. It's just shot in a totally different style than 2001. It's not a repeat of 2001.
Well, I'm excited.
It's a different director's take on the world.
No, I think
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Yeah. Let's we can even watch it tomorrow. Like we're having an easy dinner tomorrow. We can watch it tomorrow.
Sounds like a plan. It's a great movie. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, so we ended up with $187, but we spent $300 to get there. So
oh
yeah, what do you do? We're still in the red here in this game, but this was called.
But that still is a good win.
This is yeah.
Get the.
And what I like about this too is it shows all the other graphics at the same time, so it's a great
that a
screenshot.
bell?
Yeah, it is a bell. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it a bell, but you have a whole bunch of fruit?
We discovered that bar actually refers to chewing gum. We looked this up. My hypothesis was that it originally referred to like a silver bullion bar, like a 1 ounce bar of silver or something. No, it turns out it refers to sticks of chewing gum. Interestingly enough.
Really?
Oddly enough, yeah. I would not have guessed that.
Sticks of chewing gum.
Mm-hmm.
Bar.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
And this is either a nectarine or a peach or an apple or a tomato, and this is a eggplant or a grape or a plum. And this is a watermelon, of course.
Maybe a grape.
A grape? Like a giant purple grape.
Yeah, there are some like that. I wouldn't say eggplant because it would be a lot.
No, it's not an eggplant.
It has to be a lot deeper purple.
I was thinking a plum, but it could be a grape or an olive.
It could be a. Yeah, it could be a plum, but it's still too light to be a plum.
Well, the color palette's limited, of course, but.
But the green and the red on the watermelon is pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were only a couple. I think it was only one purple on the system.
Okay, yeah, I would say it's a plum then.
That's what I was thinking. It's shiny like a plum would be shiny.
But it's not really the shape of a plum. Plums are not, or they're more.
That's true.
So maybe an eggplant, but no, not an eggplant.
I don't know. Not clear at all.
I would say a grape.
You be the judge.
I would say either a grape or a plum.
This is a great screenshot because it has all the graphics on one screen. And
that is
Jackpot,
a great screenshot.
I'm going to grab
Yeah,
it
you need to grab that,
for the thumbnail. Okay, so let's see. Cherries. These are found on classic slot machine games and offer smaller payouts. Landing a single bar. These come in single, double, and triple variations. The more bars you line up in a row, the higher the payout. Triple bars typically offer the highest payout. Bells. Bells are the most common symbol and were part of the very first slot machine named the Liberty Bell. These are among the higher paying slot machine symbols and can potentially boost your winnings substantially. Although if you get 3 bells in a row here, that pays nothing, according to this pay table.
Oh!
Nothing if you get 3. The one-armed bandit did its thing. Sevens. Yeah, there's no sevens on this machine. Yeah. No sevens.
Oh, yeah. You do see that a lot on that.
But why sevens? I love this little... See, this is the kind of, weird little knowledge that gets forgotten if people don't keep it alive, right?
Yeah.
So, Sevens. These are considered lucky and are usually one of the more valuable symbols in many slot games. Landing on a combination of sevens can give you one of the highest payouts available on the machine, while landing different colored sevens will give you different payout levels. Fruits. Fruits such as oranges, lemons, and plums
Okay, that has to
are
be
more
plum.
common slot machine symbols on
And
vintage
that's
or
gonna
older
be an
machines.
orange then.
Oh, is that an
It has
orange?
to be an orange.
Even though it's the same color as the cherries? It's an orange. I hadn't thought
I would say it's an orange.
It's an orange.
Yeah,
I think
it's
you're
gotta
right.
be an orange.
Yeah,
And that's
okay.
a plum.
They are still used, however, and offer a range of payouts. Lemons. Lemons tend to offer a lower payout, while plums and oranges are more valuable. They're different shades. Are they different shades? Oh, well, yeah, maybe they are. Because there's three colors. Oh, yeah. Look. They are different shades as the cherries. Look, you can see it here. It's hard to see on the big graphics.
No, I can see it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I think I didn't really notice until I looked at the pay table, but now that you mention it, yeah. The system is weird. There's only one purple. There's three different colors of red. There's like a light red, a medium red, and a dark red.
Well, and you see it all there.
And of course, this is an emulator, and the emulator's had to make its choices about what colors it's using. The cherry red is the same as the watermelon. Yeah, good call. I actually didn't notice until you mentioned it. Now that I look at I'm looking at it like this now, and I see the pay table. I didn't really notice it when I was looking at the big graphics.
The watermelon looks a little bit darker than the cherry red, though.
It could be because there's three different colors of red on this system. I remember that. So it actually really could be, and of course the emulator had to make its choice about what color it uses to represent the original colors. Well, now we know. Plums are on old slot machines, and so are oranges. So that's an orange.
That's an orange.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Wow, we learned a lot tonight. We learned it takes 2 hours and 40 minutes to get a jackpot in this game.
And then 2.5 hours to learn about a movie that
it's still just as confusing.
So many concepts and theories and that. Okay, and I learned a lot about that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I even made you think about something.
Now we need to read some Nietzsche. You read some Plato. We need to read some Nietzsche now.
Yes, but you said he's hard to understand.
I think he's difficult.
He made up his own language.
No, that's Heidegger.
Oh, Heidegger.
Heidegger's difficult to read because he does make up his own terminology. Yeah, Nietzsche's hard because he takes a pot shot at pretty much every aspect of culture. So he touches on everything. He's so encyclopedic in all the things he's criticizing, and yet he's highly critical of philosophy in the style of Plato and Aristotle. But he's also envious of Plato as an artist, I think, because Plato really, he managed to invent his own art form and write himself into history. And I think Nietzsche was a little envious of Plato. But Nietzsche is, 180 degrees from, how Plato thought of philosophy. So Plato's a better writer in a lot of, or Nietzsche's a better writer in a lot of ways. Nietzsche's a great writer. He's one of those rare philosophers that's not just a great thinker, but a great writer.
Right.
So.
But he criticizes everything.
Everything. But he's also the most optimistic.
Which is weird. How can you be both? How can you be so critical and optimistic?
Nietzsche's a
that is like I don't get that.
He's a deeply troubled person who sees the best and the worst of humanity. Yes.
How can my mind how do you be that?
Like one of Nietzsche's books, like right here. I got it. Literally have it right here. It's called The Dawn of Day, and so it's no accident that even in 2001: A Space Odyssey, the first scene is called The Dawn of Man.
Yeah.
The Dawn of Day. That locution, the dawn of whatever. There's no doubt in my mind that Arthur C. Clarke and Kubrick took that turn of phrase from Nietzsche.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Nietzsche is the champion of artists for sure. That fundamentally our artistic expression in all its forms was the answer to all the problems of philosophy. So, but he pulls no punches about the aspects of every part of culture that he doesn't like. So. And he's not a shrinking violet for sure. His autobiography includes chapters like "Why I'm So Clever" and "Why I Write Such Good Books."
Yeah, I that. Yeah.
So,
But love, you look
Better?
like you're feeling so like this.
My sore throat has gone down a little bit.
Like just coming like you seem. I don't know. I mean,
we've been having fun actually. This has been a fun little weird stream to do, and we're having a great time chit chatting. My sore throat is feeling a little better. My earache seems to have gone away completely, which is great. So maybe the antibiotics.
I think the antibiotics
because they gave me the strong stuff. They didn't give me the weak antibiotics. They gave me the super powered antibiotics. So
just don't forget to take it for the next 4 days. You need to take it all.
I will. I'm good at that.
Well,
I'm feeling quite a bit better, which is good because I need to make money tomorrow. So.
And you know, of course, I hope that I am all the medicine you need, but I know.
But some other factors at play.
I love you.
Riding high on life. True Nietzschean style. No, we should read Nietzsche because the hard thing with Nietzsche is knowing where to start because any given book does not do a great job of capturing all of Nietzsche, and if you don't get all of Nietzsche, it's easy to misunderstand it. So Nietzsche's a rabbit hole for sure for me. You know?
Well, you've already told me all of that, so I'm afraid I have a preconceived notion of him that I'm not going to understand it.
No. Well, I know. I've been thinking about it for 30 years. I'm not sure I understand it. You know, that's okay. You know.
And I'm just saying, I barely understand what we've been reading with Plato, with Socrates, the dialogues.
I'm doing a pretty good job of explaining it, aren't I?
Yeah. We should finish that, though, because we're on the last one.
Yeah, we'll have a few more pages.
Yeah, we should finish that.
On the Phaedo of memory.
And then we need to, and then we do need to finish Inferno.
Yes. Right? The Inferno, yeah. Dante's Inferno, yeah.
But I think it would be fun to read the 2001 Space Odyssey.
Mm-hmm. The book was written concurrently with the novel or the movie being produced.
I think that'd be fun.
The book, and it was originally based on a short story that Arthur C. Clarke did that became the idea for the movie. But the short story is different in some ways, but it's much shorter, of course. But the fundamental idea of the first part of the movie, the aliens sparking intelligence in humans, that all comes from the short story that he came up with.
So then obviously that came about because there's the War of the Worlds, which is the H.G.
Wells.
H.G. Wells.
Mm-hmm. That was from the 1900s. Or 1800s, excuse me.
So he came up with it first then. That kind of thing of planting an alien thing in. But how they're saying it was that this alien thing was planted somewhere or just appeared somewhere, right? Because that's how that started, right? In War of the Worlds, where it an alien life form planted their thing, they planted themselves in the.
It's been a long time since I read the book, but I think they were from Mars, weren't they? In the War of the Worlds, were they Martians?
They planted. It was planted in the earth, however many years before, and then it just came up and started attacking.
From the book?
I saw the movie.
I think that's how it works in the movie. I don't think that's how it works in the book, though.
No, that's how it worked in the movie.
Corky says Doc Smith's Lensman series had its roots in the teens. I've never read that, actually, so I'm out of my element with that. Lensman. I'll have to look that up. History of science fiction is interesting. I don't know all the pieces, of course, but obviously, Arthur C. Clarke wasn't the first person to come up with aliens, of course not.
Yeah.
What's fun about the 2001 movies? You never see the aliens,
Yeah.
You even in the sequels, you never do. So.
That's fine.
Yeah. My favorite series, it's the roots of most science fiction, honestly. Interesting. I'll have to check it out. I like old science fiction. My favorite series by Arthur C. Clarke is the Rendezvous with Rama series, though. I think the characters are more... in 2001, the characters are a little wooden. Haywood Floyd is a really wooden character. there's not much to him.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with Dave Bowman. There's not much to him, personality-wise. Frank Poole, there's not much to him, personality-wise. They're very plastic kind of characters.
Well, they did, yeah. Like there was not much.
No emotional content whatsoever.
No. Yeah. And even when like the part where, like, well, and the part where like he went out into that little pod to go find, he knew something. He had zero emotional connection to the fact that he saw this person that he had been with on this mission for however long dead, floating in space, and he just like grabbed it. Yeah. There was like nothing, and then they never addressed the fact that there were 3 other astronauts that literally Hal basically killed, and that was never addressed.
Well, I think the reason, again, this is my take on it, and everyone's different. My take on it is that this is a critique of modern civilization, that we've become so genteel, so civilized, so rational, so computerized, so whatever, that we've lost touch with our evolutionary roots and the forces that really drive us. We're civilized to death, in other words, and it's something that we'll move beyond because we're still in our infancy. And this is just this.
So we haven't learned, like.
We've civilized ourselves to death, but that's just a phase in our evolution, and we'll get beyond that too. So I think that an emotional characterization of those characters is an intentional jab at modernity and civilization, but that's my take on it.
See, I guess I don't know.
Men don't have emotions after all, Corgis. even the Russian women at the beginning aren't very emotional. Right? There's no one emotional in the movie. Just Hal. Hal's the only one with emotions in the movie.
Right. And I guess, well, and he did some bad things because he killed everybody, basically. But, like, how you were saying, like, they killed everybody and it didn't address it. Like, I wanted that to be, like, because of our evolutional, like, thing. But, like, at this point, I'm like, no, I want that addressed. I want it addressed, like, those other 3 poor astronauts just died when they were in hibernation. Like, that's weird to me that it just was like.
I think that the sensibilities of the sequel are quite different because it takes place, in a different decade with different sensibilities, for sure, or is produced in a different decade of different sensibilities. So Corgi says, of course, remember when these were written? Yeah, of course, it was written in the mid 20th century. So there, a lot of it's just plain old misogyny of the 20th. But that's not entirely true. That's not true in all of Arthur C. Clarke's work. So I think that's only a partial explanation. And insofar as the movie claims that our current state of affairs, broadly speaking,
in
the modern
60s.
era. I just mean the modern era, our industrial, computerized, post-Enlightenment era.
But what modern era?
Post-Enlightenment. From the 1700s, 1600s on to now. The scientific revolution, anything you would call modernity.
See, and I'm guessing, I don't know, I just have, guess a different sensibility or something, like watching that, like it came out when, in the 60s?
The movie? 68.
And you watched it a long time ago. Like, how old were you when you watched this movie?
When I first watched it?
Yeah.
As a teenager, probably.
Okay. I'm 47 watching it for the first time. Completely different, so you had, a different take on it.
I've also had a lot longer to think about it.
A lot longer to think about it. That doesn't mean I'm right. This is all,
But I think insofar as the movie is saying that our current state of affairs, post-Enlightenment, our rational, computerized, scientific, spacefaring, civilized era, is just a mere stage in our future human evolution. That's clear from the end of the movie. You can't not get that from the end of the movie, I think.
But do you think that from where, that is to when you watched it, it's the same state we're in now from
Yeah,
then
I think because I think he's talking about broad cultural movements.
So then basically there's been no progress.
I think that if anything, it's gotten worse. I mean, these are regressive times, not progressive times. At least the late 20th century was largely progressive in a great many ways, and culturally progressive. I mean, look at the counterculture movements of the 60s and civil rights movement. And there's been a lot of progress in the 20th century, all of which is being wiped out in a very short amount of time. But Corgi says, I asked my mother to take me to see it. I was precocious in my science fiction.
Oh.
I made my mom watch it with me once, and she was bored out of her mind.
Well, I was not bored watching this. No,
you were paying attention.
I was more bored watching that other movie, the Rainy Day in New York.
Oh, I liked that movie, but it's not a great movie. I just like the main character.
I don't like Woody Allen.
I like his kind of existential ramblings. That's what I like about Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Because it mirrors my own writings to a great degree, probably.
No.
No, but I think that there's a reason they chose to characterize. There's something deficient about the way that all the human characters in the movie act, given that they're part of our current era in some broad sense of era, right? Our current cultural stage.
What do you mean they act like?
They act wooden and incomplete and unemotional and not very relatable, not connected.
Because even when the guy was talking to his daughter, there was
it was very pro forma.
And it was funny because when they were talking and he's like, oh, well, I can't make it to your birthday, and I'm like, well, how old is she? She's like 4. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not going to be there for your own daughter's birthday?
It's on a business trip.
And I'm like, because that's more important. Okay, whatever. And then, tell your mother I said I called. I'm like,
yeah, but I guess my point is every single one of those things is yet another specific example of the way in which our current state of evolution is not quite there yet. Right. We've got a long way to go. Yeah. So all the characters and all of their deficiencies
just a little unevolved.
Yes, they're all they're no more evolved than the monkeys. Is the idea.
Okay. Now that you kind of put it that way, I didn't see that, and then I guess at the end when you see like the embryo baby, whatever, I'm like, oh, okay, now we have to like redo our evolution or redo our.
I think that's purely metaphorical. Although again, the sequel shows that something's weird has happened to Dave Bowman, but I'm not going to tell you anything about that yet because I don't want to ruin the next movie.
So we're not, like, what you're saying and what, like, we haven't fully evolved?
Yes.
Okay.
But because there's a tendency for humans to think
but when are we going to fully evolve? Never?
Probably never. Because evolution is an ongoing thing. Never, probably. But there's a tendency for people to think that especially if you're religious. Religious people think this literally. They think we're the pinnacle of creation.
Right.
God created us at last, and we're the next, right? That's what religious people think, or Christian people think. Crazy Christian people, those fundamentalists. And there's a tendency to think that there's been so much progress that we're the best there's ever been in the history of the world, right?
Yeah.
So we view ourselves as the pinnacle of creation, whether we're religious or not, usually. And so this movie is definitely a critique of that concept. It's just we still have a long way to go, and I think there's a reason that I think it's a totally intentional choice for all the characterizations to be a little wooden and a little stiff and unemotional and unconnected. I think it's
But then Hal was the most emotional and the most, even though he made
the most rational at the same time.
The most rational. But then also he started taking revenge and he like killed everybody.
Yeah, but even Hal has a will to power.
Right.
Even as the most rational being on board.
But he made a mistake, but then he tried to say, oh no, that was you guys. That wasn't me. That was I didn't make that mistake. That was human error.
It's an interesting irony that even the most rational being on board is still subject to all this, dark psychological underbelly.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And Nietzsche, he prefigures Freud. Almost everything Freud had to say, Nietzsche had to say in some form or another. But the whole concept of a subconscious is a concept that that Nietzsche didn't invent it, but he came up with the idea before Freud did. He doesn't get enough credit for it, actually.
Yeah.
But he thinks that we have these subconscious motivations that are driving us, like our will to power, like our evolutionary violence, like our whatever, and we pretend we're hyper rational and we've evolved and we're civilized and full of virtues and pat ourselves on the back all the time, totally ignoring all these deep, dark evolutionary forces that are driving us behind the scenes.
Kind of like a tunnel vision kind of thing.
We're no better than the monkeys, essentially, and that much is, I think, clear from the movie as well. The monkeys are us. We beat each other over the heads in lots of different ways.
But the humans didn't show that they were doing, like, it was Hal that did that.
Yeah,
but it wasn't the humans. They weren't fighting with each other.
We were verbally sparring with the Russians at the beginning as an allusion to the Cold War, but
But Hal's the one that did the most damage, though. So he was the one that he was the main monkey, beating them all with their bone.
As a symbol of rationality, because he's the computer, he's the rational one.
But he was also wrong.
Mm-hmm. It's multi-layered. It's a deep movie for that very reason. Corgi says, this was at the cinema. I mean, I did talk her into the original Andromeda strain, though, and had incredibly vivid dreams for 2 weeks. The laser defense system freaked me out. I never saw that, actually. I read the book, though. Back in high school, I remember reading the book.
Andromeda strain?
Andromeda strain?
High school?
Yeah, not for high school. No, I read it while I was in high school.
Wow, okay.
I picked it up at the library, at the Vaca High library one day.
Oh, wow.
Checked that out and read it from the library. Back when people still did that.
Yeah.
I know, we're old. Movie, 1972. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I just never saw it. And they did a remake. Meh. Well, it's 11 o'clock, and we should probably stop streaming and get ready for bed, because
I have to get up early.
We both have to get up early tomorrow.
Have to get up early.
How was an science fiction version of The Sins of the Fathers, maybe?
Sins of the Fathers.
Explain what you mean?
I don't know what that is. Ooh.
So you've been leaning in to read the chat, and you can see my bald spot. Oh, old saying, just a general saying. I didn't know if you were making some specific reference, but sins of the fathers are visited on the sons. Exactly. I think, didn't Jung have to say a lot about that, if memory serves? Had all the flaws of his creators. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, to some extent, there's, specifically dealing with your parents' demons, of course, but, in broader brushstrokes, we deal with all the evolutionary demons that we've inherited as well from our earliest days, probably. And we pat ourselves on the back for it. We didn't have fangs or claws or whatever, but we had some wit, and certainly gave us an advantage that other species didn't have, and we like to tout that as the end-all be-all of creation because it gave us our advantage. Which isn't even false; it's true, but it's just one way of being in the universe, not the only way of being. Yeah, but Hal definitely was a symbol for all humans, human faults for sure. Good discussion. I could talk about 2001: A Space Odyssey and Nietzsche for hours and hours and hours. Never get bored talking about it. In fact, you can find a couple of articles I've written about it, and you can find a video of me talking with a couple of other folks about 2001: A Space Odyssey. Back when I did podcasting, I don't think I covered 2001: A Space Odyssey. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff out there. I've written on my website. There's a couple of, just search my name, Zachary Fruling, and Nietzsche, and you'll find a couple. Also, I've written quite a few blog posts about Nietzsche's poetry, short rhymes and verse, which is a remarkably fruitful source of insight into Nietzsche's thinking. Underappreciated. Yeah, again, while I'm familiar with it in broad brushstrokes, there's a lot of parts of science fiction history I didn't experience, but I've experienced more than your average person generally. So I'm probably between you and the average person in that regard. There's always been a fan, but I've got specific things that I like in the history of science fiction, and a lot that I never really got that far because I was busy doing other things and just didn't get that far. I like Arthur C. Clarke, I like Isaac Asimov, I like H.G. Wells, but I like some other things. But those are my favorite authors, of course, like a great many people. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in. It's been a fun night. I actually feel a lot better than I did when I first started. I wasn't feeling too good, and I think the antibiotics are kicking in, and it's been a fun evening. Nice chit chatting with everyone, and maybe we'll revisit. Yeah, thank you very much. I gotta plow through it and be a bit of a stoic tomorrow, and just do my duty, whether or not I really feel up to it. But you gotta pay the bills, so to speak. But I'm always up for chatting Nietzsche and science fiction and film and whatnot. In fact, a lot of my writings, on my philosophy blog, I spent a lot more time thinking about film than I realized I did. It's such a great way of exploring ideas, TV shows by extension, but film in particular. I like film as a medium for exploring ideas. It's underappreciated. I think it probably is because one of my college classes I took when I was doing my undergraduate stuff in philosophy, I took a philosophy and film class, and one of my professors had an interest in it. And I spent a lot more time thinking about film and philosophy than other philosophers do. So, still can't help but be a philosopher when I when I watch film, for better or worse. But I hope everyone has a good night. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to get some sleep, and we hit the jackpot. Check us out. Woohoo! I feel totally vindicated. I was worried we wouldn't hit a jackpot, but we did, as luck had it. So thanks for all the encouragement. Thanks for the get well wishes. And I actually am feeling better than I did 3 hours ago. So thanks, everyone, for the positive energy. I really appreciate it. Have a good night, and I'll catch you on the other side.